What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and guys, we've got a patch note video for you guys today. So, brand new patch has just dropped for Ark Genesis 2, well, for Ark in general, I guess, and here are the patch notes for it. So, we're going to go through and read them all out to you guys, just in case you're not aware. You can access these on the Discord server as well. For some reason, they've stopped updating them on Steam for unknown reasons. Nonetheless, let's get into it. So, first off, multiple tech engrams have been added to the boss fight. Now, before, when you completed the boss fight, you didn't get any tech engrams because, I don't know, they just probably forgot to add that. So, now you can receive tech engrams from completing the Rockwell final boss fight. You can see here, Replicator, Teleporter, Trough, Force Field, Dedicated Storage, Armor, Rifle, Turret, and the Generator. So, as far as I'm aware, that's everything bar the structures. So, I think you should be able to pretty much get everything from completing Rockwell. Next up, hover sail no longer falls in 0G. So in space, when you would do your missions, it would just like plummet down. That's no longer the case. So the boost is always active. We've got net ammo loaded into the harpoon launcher, can now be used underwater. So before you couldn't actually fire this underwater, now you can. So you can use it to trap megalodons, mantas, probably basilos as well. A new one as well, which is actually really good. Mantises will now accept rhino horns for taming at a lower affinity than deathworm horns. So on Genesis Part 2, obviously there are mantises in Rockwell's garden. However, there aren't any deathworms. So you've had no chance of being able to tame those unless you have access to like Scorched Earth and Ragnarok. So they've fixed that by now allowing rhino horns to be accepted, which is actually really good. Makes sense as well. Noglins can no longer attach to babies. So before, Noglins could attach to babies and you could run off with the babies. Fixed a bug where the Void Worm wasn't gaining bonus levels after taming. Pretty self-explanatory. Some visual effects and sound effects with the Void Worm and the Strider, so they fixed some of those. Not entirely sure what those were, but nonetheless they are fixed now, hopefully. They've also fixed some bugs with the Strider, which affected transferring items to and from the dedicated storage, as well as accessing some aspects of its pinwheel. I didn't really have any issues with my Tech Strider, but it looks like they have fixed the issues for those that did. Next up, we've got a fixed a bug where players could erroneously remove attachments from their Striders. Now, this sounds like fun. So, some players were able to actually remove the attachments from their Striders and put them onto other Striders, which, if you've played Genesis 2, that's not how they're supposed to function. They've also fixed a bug where the Strider's taming effectiveness will drop from 100 to 0%. I never had this issue, but it's good to know that that's fixed. Striders should no longer count towards the global platform structure limit. So when you build on the back of a Strider, its structure limit would count towards the servers. So if you had a certain amount of structures on the server and you built on your Strider, you wouldn't be able to because you'd reach that limit. Increase the Strider hacking grace period to compensate for low frame rate servers. So when you're trying to tame the Strider up now, it's a little bit easier to do so for lower frame rate servers because you'll have more of a chance to hit it than miss it due to lag. Fix some visual issues with certain items on the loadout mannequin. But here's the big ones. This is where all the nerf starts coming in. So some big changes here for PvP people. And you can see here that these kind of reduce it massively. So tech explosive arrow damage reduced by 25%, which I kind of wish they had something separate for PvE because, you know, we're not really using it to blow up walls and stuff. So they've reduced the damage of that by 25%. Arrow projectile speed of the explosive arrows is also reduced by 33%. So the speed at which they travel has been reduced. And now the ASTRODELPHIS nerfs come in. So ASTRODELPHIS laser damage reduced by 33%. That's a big chunk of damage reduction. ASTRODELPHIS grenade bomb projectile speed reduced by 50%. So the speed at which the grenade travels has now been nerfed to 50%, by 50%, so it's 50% slower. And ASTRODELPHIS lasers will no longer damage targets if it is encumbered. So there's a bit of thingy about this. So before this patch, you could actually encumber your ASTRODELPHIS, have it sit in Starfighter mode, and be able to use the missiles and the grenade launchers and all that sort of stuff. And from what I've seen on YouTube and stuff like that, Hod Gaming, who's a big PvPer, actually used this method to raid another PvPer, and this other PvPer is known for like glitching and meshing and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, he's just having a go at Hod, and it's super funny. So you can no longer do that anymore. So the ASTRODELPHIS has been nerfed a little bit. Fixed a case where the ASTRODELPHIS homing missile would still damage riders even though it was targeting the creature. And they're still planning to iterate on ASTRODELPHIS balance. So In other words, they're essentially going to be nerfing it some more. Fix multiple server and client stalls and crashes. Fix some cases where creatures weren't properly playing the unconscious animation when shot by a net ammo. So if you would shoot a dino with the net ammo, it would just stand there instead of being like unconscious with its animation. Fixed a bug where the space asteroid resources weren't spawning on transition. Fixed a bug where the Genesis Part 1 arrival protocol mission wasn't starting. Some cases of false mesh detection. Fixed some exploits in missions that allowed you to keep the mission weapon longer than intended. Fixed a bug which allowed you to create loot caches that would expire in 10 seconds. Removed some invalid items from the mission loot and supply crate tables on Genesis Part 2. Updated some mission objectives, descriptive text for items on Genesis Part 2. And they fixed a case where Helena notes would not play when mounted. So that's actually affected me a couple of times. If you would go through certain places, we would get like an XP buff, but Helena wouldn't talk or anything because we're on a dino. But yeah, that's the most recent patch notes. So some pretty big changes to the ASTRODELPHIS and the explosive arrows. They're kind of doing what they've done to the ASTRODELPHIS, what they did to the Managma when it first dropped. So I'm expecting a lot more nerfs for the ASTRODELPHIS. Pretty much to the point where it won't be used anymore. So that's always fun. But guys, that's going to wrap the video up for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. Subscribe down below for more. But other than that, I'll catch you in the next one.